Welcome into our Nats Extra postgame show. Dan Kolko and Bo Porter. And Bo, we've been talking about this over the last, hour plus now. You have made the point all season long that every single day a manager has two very big decisions. What are those decisions?
The two biggest decisions that any manager is going to make is when he writes his lineup card and when he takes his starting pitcher out of the game. And when you look at today's game, the final score is going to be 10-1, but this game basically shifted when Vogt came out of the game. It was 2 outs in the 6th inning. If you go back to the Braves lineup and you look at that lineup, Brian Snitker did us a favor. He stacked 3 lefties together with Markakis, Joyce, and McCann. We only have 1 lefty down in our bullpen, which is Sean Doolittle, which happens to be one of the 2 guys that Davey Martinez know that he can trust. When you look at that situation, and in that situation there in the 6th inning, you got 2 outs. I said it before the inning started. Sean Doolittle could have been warming up, and you get that pocket to where Doolittle get the face. Markakis there with 2 outs. If he gets Markakis, he's now ready for that pocket. It may force Brian Snitker at that situation to pinch hit for 2 of those lefties, and now you've forced his hand. So later in the game, when you bring in a Hudson, he's now facing the righties. That did not happen. They went on to score 10 more runs, and we end up losing the game.
Yes, Wander Suero was the first guy out of the Nationals bullpen today. Fernando Rodney after him. And Bo, you can understand, I guess, Davey Martinez saying that, he wants to hold his Sean Doolittle and Daniel Hudson, his 2 highest leverage guys, for later on in the game, maybe the 8th and 9th innings if Freddie Freeman comes back around again. But fact of the matter is, the Nationals lost this game today, a game that they controlled through the first 5 innings, without either of their 2 highest leverage guys either warming or coming into the ball game.
Well, when you look at that situation again, the Braves are in a total different situation than the Washington Nationals. We hold a 1.5 game lead over the Cubs now for their wild card game in which we will get home field advantage. You don't want to put yourself in a position where you have to go to Chicago, and you definitely don't want to be on the outside looking in to the playoff picture. So for me, these are playoff elimination games. You look at the last 15 games, they have to be treated as such. When you have the situation where you have the game in hand, you have to do everything that you can not to let that game, that day slip away. And to do that, if you lose with your best guys, you lose with your best guys.
Yep.
But you don't lose this game and your best guys never have a chance to compete.
So Wander Suero allowed the game-tying run in the 6th inning. Bo, he was then given the ability to go back out to start the 7th inning. Davey Martinez trusted him to start that 7th, despite the fact that he had fallen behind some hitters, despite the fact that he gave up a couple hits in that 6th inning that tied the game. What did you make of the decision there to let him start that 7th inning and then have Rodney come in after him?
Well, again, when you look at the pocket of where you're at, you have to win those matchups. And if you look at the fact that Sean Doolittle is down in the bullpen, he is available. And I know some going to say, it's the 6th inning or it's the 7th inning. Well, you're at the point where you're trying to get the ball to the end of the game, to get the ball to a Daniel Hudson. And he comes back out, and Suero walks the first 2 guys, and now you bring in Rodney, and Rodney basically gives up the hit, the go-ahead hit to Ronald Acuna, which basically scores both of those guys from first and second base, and then you get Albies in the batter's box, and he takes an excuse-me swing, and now all of a sudden the score is 4-1.
That came after the Charlie Culberson hit-by pitch to the face. We'll show you that in a minute. That was in the 7th inning as well, first pitch from Fernando Rodney. But Bo, fact of the matter is, you talk about the high leverage situations there in the 6th and 7th innings and whether some different cards should have been played at those moments. But let's think big picture here with this Nationals bullpen. You're going to need guys to get outs, regardless of who it is, in what situation it is. They cannot rely upon their starting pitchers to go 8 scoreless innings every single day, or rather 8 innings in general every single day. You need guys to bridge the middle innings to get the ball to Sean Doolittle and Daniel Hudson if they are the last 2 guys out of your bullpen to end the game.
Well, I'll take my chances with those guys in May, in June, in July. In September, I'm losing with my best guys.
Right.
In that situation, when you look at the fact that Vogt came out of that game, in which he was fantastic, and we'll get to him a little bit later. When Vogt came out of that game, Sean Doolittle comes in that game. For me, it's a pocket of lefties. He's the only lefty down there.
Yes.
Now, I'm going to push all of my chips to the center of the table. As the other manager, make your choice. Either let me win the matchup right now, because Sean Doolittle has to get both out anyway. So you either let Sean Doolittle face these lefties,
or you pop a righty on your bench.
I'm going to force your righties into the game, because I know everybody else that's going to come out of that gate down there is right-handed. So if I force your hand in the 6th inning or in the 7th inning, you're going to play right into my hand in the 9th, in the 8th and 9th inning if those spots come back around. Those spots, if the game stay close, let's just face it, those guys got extra at-bats. You know why? Because they scored a bunch of runs. That pocket is not coming up no more than 2 more times. So if you win it in the 6th and to start the 7th, the next time that you would see them would be in the top of the 9th.
Yes.
Guess what? Daniel Hudson's in the game now. And he has basically platoon advantage against right-handed hitters.
As a right-handed pitcher.
Exactly.
So those are the bullpen decisions, and we'll talk more about the Nationals bullpen a little bit later on, but we've got to talk about an incredibly scary situation here today in the 7th inning, and it was Fernando Rodney coming into the game. And parents, please, if you're watching at home, I caution everyone watching at home that if you don't want to see this, please look away for the next 30 seconds. And parents, if you have kids in the room, you might want to take your kids away from the television for a couple seconds here. We're going to show you Charlie Culberson getting hit by a 91-mile-an-hour fastball from Fernando Rodney in the face. Bo, he was squaring around a bunt, and this was tracking him the whole way, and he could not get out of the way.
Yes, it's very dangerous. Even when you talk about bunting, and that ball basically just ran, it ran into him. He didn't have a chance to get out of the way. Whenever you're thinking about bunting, you're thinking about getting the ball out in front of the plate. And Charlie Culberson, I hope that he's okay and he's able to recover from this. But it was a very, very scary moment for everybody in the ballpark.
Yeah, you can see the right side of his face swollen there, some blood on the towel. It's got to be an incredibly scary situation for that man as he gives a thumbs up and waves to the fans that are cheering him on. You saw a shot of Fernando Rodney there as well, Bo. He was standing halfway between the pitcher's mound and home plate that entire time that Charlie Culberson was laying on the ground. For a few minutes, he was laying motionless on the ground. And you have to think, for a guy to then have to regroup after he hits someone in the face and try and get batters out after that happens, that's got to be a very challenging thing.
Yes, it's very challenging. It's very emotional. Again, Rodney, he's been around a long time, and obviously you never want to hit anyone in the face, but you can tell just by looking at him that even he was shooken up by what had just took place.